decomposing method. When you decompose something, you break it apart, and that's exactly what we are going to do in this strategy. I'm going to start with 2 1/2 and 3/4. First thing we need to do is we need to choose one of the mixed numbers to keep the same throughout the problem. I'm going to choose 2 1/2. What I need to do is I need to convert 2 1/2 to an improper fraction first. So in 2 1/2, how many pieces are there in a whole? Since the denominator is 2, I know that there are 2 pieces in every whole. How many wholes do I have? Since I have 2 wholes and there are 2 pieces in every whole, 2 times 2 is 4. I need to add the 1 additional piece that I have in my numerator, and that is 5. My denominator always stays the same because the amount of pieces in every whole does not change when I'm converting a mixed number to an improper fraction. So 2 1/2 is equivalent to 5/2. I'm going to write that down 2 times. Okay, now, since I've chosen to keep 2 1/2 the same throughout the problem, I am going to decompose or break apart 1 3/4. So I am going to multiply 5/2 by 1 whole, and I am also going to multiply 5/2 by 3/4. So I have just breaking apart 1 3/4 by separating the whole number and the fraction. Okay, I know that 5/2 times 1 is 5/2 because anything times 1 is itself. And now when I multiply 2 fractions, unlike in an addition and a subtraction of fractions problem where I have to find a common denominator, in multiplication and division I do not. So in my denominator, I'm just going to multiply across 2 times 4, and my answer is 8. And I'm going to multiply my 2 numbers in my numerator, so 5 times 3, which is 15. The last part of this problem is now taking my 2 numbers and adding them together. Since I am adding, I know that I need to find a common denominator. 2 is one of my denominators and 8 is the other denominator. If I count up by 2's and count up by 8's, I know my least common denominator is 8. So I need to find an equivalent fraction for each of these fractions with 8 as a denominator. In 15/8, the denominator is already 8, so I'm just going to rewrite the problem because it's equivalent to each other. In 5/2, if I need to find an equivalent fraction with 8 as the denominator, whatever I do to the denominator, I must also do to the numerator. So I need to determine what did I multiply 2 by to get to 8. I multiplied 2 by 4 to get 8. So I must also multiply 5 by 4 because whatever I do to the numerator, I must also do to the denominator and vice versa. 5 times 4 is 20. All right. Now I'm adding 20/8 plus 15/8, and my answer is 35/8. I am not done yet, however, because this is an improper fraction. I need to turn it back into a mixed number. In order to do that, I am going to divide the denominator into the numerator. 8 cannot go into 3. 8 times a number cannot equal 3. However, I can get awfully close to 35 when I'm multiplying 8 by a number. 8 times 4 is 32. And I have 3 remaining. I know that my remainder always goes into my numerator spot. And my denominator does not change. That's how many pieces are in a whole. And we discovered that there were 8 pieces in every whole. So 8 is my denominator. So my answer to 2 1/2 times 1 3/4 is 4 and 3/8.